Good evening. Welcome to LoveLogical, DNA Not Required. This is Michelle L. Anderson coming to you live from PodcastDetroit, Royal Oak Studios. We are looking forward to intriguing and entertaining you every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Let me start today's show by saying thank you for joining our family, which is biological by nature, LoveLogical by choice, DNA Not Required. Well, hello, everyone. This is Michelle L. Anderson with LoveLogical DNA Not Required podcast. And thank you for taking the time out to listen to me today. I have a wonderful guest who's here for the second time. Many of you may remember Andre from Ally Learning out of Livonia, Michigan. Andre, so you want to say hello?
Yeah, hi everybody. It's good to be back. Thanks so much for Michelle for inviting me back on here. Kind of an interesting path that got me back here. I actually didn't know I was going to be on a podcast until about 3 hours ago. So Michelle always keeps it interesting for me.
I do. I mean, my guest for the evening was not able to make it. So I contacted Andre because we actually had a meeting today.
Yep.
And he was telling me about a summer reading camp that Ally Learning will be starting in July. Right. And I said, I'm going to have to get you on the show. And he says, well, you know, we're having an open house on Saturday. And I was like, man, in my head, I was thinking, I wish I could get them on the show today. And then when my guest was unable to make it, I said, let me call and see if Andre and Ahmad could make it. And Ahmad could not make it because he's busy tutoring.
Yeah, booked up.
Totally
booked up.
That's good.
Yeah, no, I mean he's easily one of the busiest tutors in our whole company right now. I mean he oftentimes doesn't leave until 8 o'clock at night.
That's because he's awesome.
Yes.
Yes,
yeah,
he's an awesome tutor.
Yeah.
You want to share a little bit with the audience about what Ally Learning is and your role with Ally?
Sure. Yeah. So Ally Learning is a tutoring company. That is largely what the focus of our services is. And as for my role in the company, I'm the director of outreach. So it's kind of like my job to come out and do stuff like this. Do a lot of I handle a lot of the outward facing communications, marketing, promotion, PR, kind of all wrapped into one. And I also, we're small enough where everybody does tutoring. So I do also tutor as well. I have students as young as 11 and as old as 17. So I just run the gambit for age ranges. As far as, the purpose of me being here, so just to talk a little bit about our summer reading camp, basically this is our first foray into non-tutoring programming. So this is going to be a dedicated program that is, going to be hosted at our learning center. So like Michelle said, it will start on July 14th. And the structure of it is kind of, it's dualistic. It's kind of hybrid. We kind of we wanted to combine a couple of different things into one to kind of provide the most value for people. Okay. So basically, every student that enrolls in our summer reading camp is going to receive a workbook. Okay. And the workbook, we have 9 of them. Okay. And they are specifically designed, tailored to each incoming grade that the child will be going into. So if your child is going into first grade, you're gonna get the first grade workbook. Okay. That's our youngest one. The oldest one is going into 9th grade. Okay. And we've specifically designed, the workbooks to kind of prepare the student for the material that they're going to be seeing the next year. Okay. And so that's going to be broken up into weekly assignments. And it's meant to be enough to keep them busy for a week, but it's not meant to be, a hardcore academic boot camp. Okay. It's meant to be something of a primer to get them kind of in sort of the mindset to get back to school. Okay. Now, in addition to that, right, on Saturdays, they are going to come to our learning center in Livonia, and we are going to have a hands-on activity that is designed around what they've been learning in their workbooks. Okay. And there's going to be 3 groups that come to our, in staggered.
On Saturdays?
Yeah, on Saturdays.
Okay.
It's going to be basically grades K through are really going into first grade to going into third graders.
Okay.
That's going to be the youngest
So
group.
you have them together. How long will
Yeah.
they be there on Saturdays?
For an hour and a half.
Okay, so
Yeah.
an hour and a half on
Yeah.
Saturdays. Okay.
And so that's going to be the first group because typically younger kids,
Their attention span is a little bit less than what the older children's would be.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the middle group will be from incoming fourth graders to incoming seventh graders, which I mean it's a big group, so that one we might even subdivide further when they get there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the oldest one is going to be basically the middle schoolers. So
Right.
incoming seventh graders to incoming ninth graders. I think I made a mistake earlier. The middle group is going to be incoming fourth graders to
Okay.
incoming sixth graders, and then
Okay.
incoming seventh graders to
Through
incoming ninth graders. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and so they're each going to have different because the content of the workbooks is different from grade to grade. Obviously,
It is, of course.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that whatever they're doing during those Saturday activities is going to be directly relevant to what they were just doing in their workbook. So it's going to be a lot of we really want to make kind of put a stress on making it fun, making it enjoyable. So it'll be something like doing either having for example they'll have like vocabulary words that they'll have done during their workbook week, okay, and then we can do like a game of charades or something based off of what they've the individual vocabulary words that they've been doing, and kind of turn it into a game like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, with the workbook, because when I see summer reading camp,
Sure.
as a parent, my thought is that my child's going to be there during the week.
Right.
So in this instance, they're going to get the materials to work at home or during the summer.
Right.
And then they will come on Saturday.
Yeah.
So that you actually can make sure that they're learning what they're supposed to do during the week. So this is more so of a family activity.
Well, it is. The idea is the content that they're going to be working on at home. Mm-hmm. It's certainly meant to be light enough for the child to be able to do it on their own.
Okay.
Now, obviously, there's nothing wrong at all with families working on the material with the student, particularly with the younger students. I mean, that's going to be inevitable.
Well, you have motivation as a factor too,
Right.
because the child has to be motivated to work in the workbook through the summer.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, absolutely, and the motivation also. Yeah, it's gonna everything that a child does is inevitably going to be a team effort, right?
Right.
And that's very much the spirit that we bring to our tutoring into this camp. So the part of the motivation is also they're going to be kind of held accountable on Saturdays. So they can still participate in the activities, but people are going to know. They're going to know if you didn't do
If
your
they got their work done.
Yeah.
If you didn't get your homework done.
Yeah. You don't get a grade, okay, but it's going to be fairly obvious that you didn't do it. And so that's part of the kind of in the spirit of like soft motivation, right?
Okay.
We don't want to make the stakes necessarily too high. It's this is definitely kind of a fine-tuned thing that we're trying to balance here. Because we do want to make sure that it is enough that they're actually doing the work, that they're going to be out there actually participating in the weekly activities. And the only way to get the most out of those weekly activities is if you've done the work. So what we're hoping is that that's a good balance between motivation but not being psychologically too kind of intimidating for children.
Okay.
Because we definitely don't intend this to be like a hardcore academic exercise.
Because it kind of teaches independence.
Yeah.
And everything. And we talked about it earlier today.
Yes.
You were telling me that the activities are going to be fun.
Yes.
For the kids. So can you kind of give me some sort of a example of a fun reading activity that would be in one of the workbooks? Let's say if I had a third grader.
Yeah.
What is it that may be in one of the workbooks that's going to make it fun to where my child's going to want to do this on their own?
Yeah. So with the workbook, with the workbook itself, right? Definitely there's, and I know like specifically for the younger ones, there is definitely an element of collaboration with the parents. So as an example, they have flashcards that are going to be included as part of the workbook.
Okay.
And the idea is that we have instructions for a game that they can play.
Okay.
A charades-based game that they can play with the flashcards. So it's an interactive activity. The children do have to like cut out. It's kind of like a tactile experience. They have to cut out the cards, and they have to collaborate with their parents as well. And then it becomes this activity that they can all do together as a family.
Okay.
So that was specifically, with the third, I believe the first three the youngest grades, that is something that's going to be a feature of those workbooks.
Okay, because when I'm looking at, I can understand where the reading camp is going to come in. It's very effective for the parents. And the reason why I could see that happening is because I just learned recently that children lose like almost 30% of what they've learned from the time they get out of school to when they return in September.
Yeah.
So I know some schools do offer packets over the summer to keep children actively learning.
Yeah.
To keep them used to having something to sit down and read, but there's a lot of schools that don't.
Yes.
So with this here, would you expect the students that need more help to be a part of the program, or those who are a little more motivated on their own and more independent?
Yeah.
Because if they need help, would they be able to get tutoring to help with this book as well?
That's a very good question. Yeah, and that's a really excellent way to kind of frame it, because this is definitely and it's important to point this out. This is a different spirit than the tutoring is.
Okay.
Right? So what I would say is that a child that is, let's say, significantly behind and really is in need of, let's say, kind of a remedial intervention with regards to their school performance would probably benefit more from tutoring, right? They are going to, that is going to be, if you're entering fifth grade and you're, maybe still reading at like a second grade, which is absolutely possible. And, that's something that can just, that can absolutely happen. It's not an unheard of case. For that student, I would say that tutoring would be the more beneficial investment of their time and an investment of their parents' effort as well.
Okay.
This, I would say that the summer reading camp would be better geared towards students that are more or less on track, that are more or less kind of doing what they're supposed to be doing, but are really just need to have their mind kind of primed for the next school year. So, like you said, that's the statistic that you mentioned. Students can lose up to 50% of the reading skills that they learned in the previous school year, and that doesn't have anything to do with what kind of student they are.
Right.
That's just the nature of summer vacation.
Yes.
And I guess with this one, we do still want to preserve a bit of the spirit of summer vacation. I guess the theme that keeps coming back here is like we are trying to balance the two things out. Like, so for a student, but I guess for a student, I would say it's not, it wouldn't be a negative thing for a student that is behind in school, that maybe is having trouble in school, to enroll in this summer reading camp. And there is also the option of perhaps enrolling in a lower grade if that's where their reading skills are at. If they're not necessarily at the grade level where they're supposed to be, it might make sense to enroll them in the summer reading camp for the grade that's lower than them.
Okay.
But generally speaking, I would say that for real academic assistance that's targeted and personalized and is going to really address some underlying problems that a student has in school, this is not, the summer reading camp is not going to do that.
Okay.
The tutoring is going to be what you're going to want to go for.
Okay, now I guess my question now is, if someone enrolls in the summer reading camp with Ally, would they get a discount on tutoring if they wanted the tutoring?
Yeah, that's something that we've talked about. Absolutely. If so, I think that I can't remember off the top of my head what we agreed on, but I do think that there would be a discount associated with signing up and having. I think it would be somewhere around 10 to 15% off of the tutoring
Okay.
if you wanted to sign up with the summer reading camp. And in that case, then you can use the workbook as a basis for your tutoring sessions. If it comes out, if it's the case that you want basically the tutor to work and do the weekly assignments with your student, then that is absolutely an option that they have.
Okay.
And it would be somewhere between 10 to 15% of a discount on the tutoring. I think Hamad would be the guy that has all this, but I feel pretty confident somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be really good for the students.
Yes.
Because many schools or many states have gone to year-round school to where they offer more breaks throughout the school year, but they continue to go throughout the summer, and that's supposed to help the children not have that big drop in education.
Right.
Through the summers.
Yeah, and that's absolutely.
Yeah, because we go some schools go from May to August, and then in here we go from June to September.
Yeah,
and that's a long time. And many parents, they don't offer any type of educational opportunities to the kids through the summers. Sometimes it's because they can't afford the camps that are being offered in their areas.
Yeah,
and other times it's just a matter of being able to be aware of the resources that are available to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, people have a number of different priorities that pull them in several different directions.
Yes.
I mean, in their lives and in the summertime as well. So, that's definitely something that I think that, any child that's been, through a summer vacation can probably relate to it. I mean, I remember, you kind of like, you kind of get used to a lifestyle of not really having to exert yourself at all. You're just having fun all the time, which is, it's absolutely warranted to have fun during the summer. But I guess what we're trying to kind of create here is something that will capture that, but create a space where they still do have to apply their active brains to situations. And I mean, really any number of activities would be a good idea for kids to be doing over the summer. I would say, right, just as a note of advice, I mean, it's always good to have something, like some kind of regular commitment for kids to do. Because I think just absolute unrestrained freedom, it's really not a realistic expectation to set, because there's going to come a time where you're not going to have unrealistic, you're not going to have, just total like freedom. I mean, everyone has to work in the summertime, except for teachers. But even then, they have a lot of stuff that they still have to do,
One thing that I wouldn't want to see is a child just sit in front of a television or playing video games.
Right.
I'm starting to see more and more children outside playing again and going to the park and seeing, families there with their kids. And, it's just, I want to see, and I'm glad that I am seeing the element of family.
Yeah.
That family table a couple of years ago came back as something that even the television stations, the radio stations, everyone started to really want to promote the family table. So to me, for you to have a program like this where the family can come together.
Yeah.
I like the whole concept of the textile and cutting out and, making the cards and being able to play charades with the family so that child is going to learn these words and things like that.
Yes.
I really like that because that's interactive learning. And many families wouldn't know how to do that.
Right. Or they wouldn't necessarily have the time or the occasion to sort of do that. Just normal. So that's definitely something that we would love to promote with our summer with the workbooks.
I like that. And then they come in and actually do a hands-on activity with other age-related children on Saturdays.
Yes, there's absolutely, and I think kind of to build on what you're saying, the social element is also very important, because you can't just take learning in a vacuum, right? This is, definitely there's going to be a social component to it, and there must be a social component to it as well. What we would like is to, and this has always been sort of a goal of ours at Ally Learning, is to promote a sense of community when people come to our center. We would
I know.
like for
You're
kids to
very
feel that.
LoveLogical. Very
Yes.
LoveLogical because you treat all of your clients and their families like they are
Yes.
family.
Yes.
And so they're a part of your extended family.
Yes.
And I really like that about you.
Yeah.
I think that's part of what brought us together.
Yeah, I think
and our
so.
businesses together.
I absolutely
Yes,
think
because
so.
you are. So this summer program that's being offered, how much is it?
So right now, until basically from June 15th until June 22nd, the price will be $179.
Okay.
It's a 7-week program that includes the workbook, that includes all of the weekly Saturday activities, and then after June 22nd, it will be $199 until June 14th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and I guess just real quickly, I want to mention that we are having a information and enrollment session at our learning center in Livonia. That is this Friday, starting at 12 o'clock, and it will go until 4 o'clock.
Is it Friday or Saturday?
I'm sorry, it's Saturday. It's June 15th.
Okay. I was
Yeah.
going to say, I thought it was Saturday. I got
Yeah.
excited by Friday because
Yeah,
I'd be
yeah.
able to be there on Friday, but
Hello.
I can't be there Saturday.
It's been a
That's okay.
it's been a heck of a day.
That's okay. Just
Yeah.
traffic alone. I understand.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. No, it definitely drops you down a couple IQ points every time you
It
try.
does.
Yeah.
Traffic alone.
Yeah,
Traffic alone.
Right. So to be clear, Saturday.
Okay.
Saturday, June 15th, from 12 until 4 o'clock. And that will be at our learning center. So, our address is 20337 Middlebelt Road, Livonia, Michigan, 48152. If you look up Ally Learning on Google, that is you go
it comes
there.
right there.
Yes, exactly.
I Google it all the time. That's
good.
because I make sure that I'm going the right. I like go different directions to get to the same place.
Yeah,
So.
why not?
I do.
Keep it interesting. Yeah, you got to. Your commute just it'll creep up on you otherwise.
I used to enjoy getting lost.
Yeah, I still
and
do.
finding different ways, but
Yeah.
I don't get lost as much as I used to.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I tend to I can spatially navigate pretty well.
Yes.
Once I recognize landmarks, I'm
I'm
not
the
so
same
great
way.
with the names of streets, but I can do I can just recognize places very well. So.
I'm the same way. So but I used to enjoy getting lost and finding new things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Everyone, this is a great summer reading camp for your children. And I know that, giving them something to work on, whether when they're at home with the babysitter, whether they're going to other camps during the week, something to work on when they get home. But I like the fact of the family interaction.
Yes.
Because no matter how old the children are within the home, it gives an opportunity for them to interact together, everyone together at night.
Yes, absolutely.
So that actually makes a great game night activity and things. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
How much time do you think that a child should spend on the workbook throughout the day?
I would say anywhere from, it could be as little as 30 minutes if they just want to blast through it. 30 minutes to an hour, I would say, a day.
Okay.
Really should be more than enough to get the work done on a daily basis. Like I said, it's really meant to be kind of just an activity that is, to prime them for school. We don't want them to dread, kind of
doing it. Yes,
working
you want
it.
them to enjoy it.
Yeah. And definitely even we wanted to, we wanted to be accurate with what we were sort of doing, but we wanted to come up with a more friendly word than workbook. But ultimately, maybe it's just better to be accurate. It is a workbook, right? You do have to do the assignments.
What friendly word did you come up with other than workbook
Well,
that you thought would work?
That was the whole thing. We couldn't. Smile book. So it's called a workbook, but it's not really a workbook. It's a book of activities for kids to be able to do within a week's time.
A book of lessons.
A book of lessons.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. A book of lessons.
A book of smiles.
Yes.
Yes. We could go.
I think that's really cool. So for
Yeah.
those who don't really remember or didn't get a chance to see when Ally Learning was on LoveLogical DNA Not Required, share a little bit about how Ally Learning actually started tutoring children that had been adopted out of foster care.
Right. So basically, this is kind of the story of how we got started. So, Ally Learning was founded by our executive director, and his name is Hamad Ali. And basically, he's kind of the driving force. This is his company. He founded Ally Learning in 2014. I believe he was working on a master's degree at Wayne State. Or no, actually, I think he'd earned his master's degree at Wayne State, and he was in medical school at that time. And he had just started tutoring, students on the side, just intending for it to be kind of like a part-time activity, maybe just something a little supplemental to his income. But what ended up happening was he began to get a bit of a following behind him. And really by chance, one of the families that he was tutoring was an adopted family. And so they were so pleased with the way that Hamad had tutored their children that they actually reached out to their caseworker at the Department of Human Services in Lansing. And then that's how Hamad found out that you can actually get tutoring paid for through medical subsidies. And they told us that they told him that if he created an LLC, if he created a company, then he could do that. He could provide free tutoring to children that are adopted out of foster care.
Yeah.
And so our kind of
that was your foundation.
It's our foundation. Yeah. Our institutional foundation has always been working with that population of children. So these are kids that have been, they've been in foster care. Unfortunately, if you're adopted, then something had to have not gone very well, at some point in the past, right? So these are oftentimes we're working with children that have cases of post-traumatic stress, and every other condition that goes along with that.
Different types of trauma.
Yes. And that takes a very personable and personal approach, if that makes sense. It has to be tailored to their needs.
Yes, because one of the things that I like is that you offer the one-on-one tutoring, because it gives the opportunity to not just tutor, but you mentor as well, because that way you're earning a relationship, and you're allowing the student to understand that I'm here for you, and you don't have to feel uncomfortable. Yeah. Because we're going to work through this together.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I mean, and it really makes a big difference. That saying that it takes a village is 100% true.
It is.
There needs to be, and particularly for kids that have been through that kind of situation who are probably dealing with feelings of abandonment. It makes a huge difference to just the mere existence of another person that is invested in their well-being in addition to their parents. That alone makes a massive difference. And when you're like you touched on, when you're tutoring a child that has been through that kind of situation, sometimes it's not just academic gaps that exist. There's more framing gaps, we can call it. Like really it's more like, well, why should I even try at all? Why should I do this? What's the point? And those are things that traditional tutoring companies are not really going to be able to help them answer.
Right.
And that's absolutely something that we focus on a lot with our students, kind of helping them put all the pieces together and feel motivated, right? I guess the analogy that I use is sometimes like, I think about the difference between something being kind of like theoretically possible in your brain, kind of like, okay, intellectually I understand that this is possible, but that doesn't mean that I'm really going to go for it or I'm really going to try to do it, right?
Right.
Those are different things.
Right.
Like intellectually, like I could imagine maybe it would have been possible for me to have become a professional basketball player. Okay, but why didn't I? Why didn't I become one? Well, because I never saw like a realistic, chance of that happening. No one really like came up and lit my fire and was like, you really got what it takes. But perhaps if I had that, then I would have, I could have achieved that goal.
You could have achieved the goal.
So and I guess my point with that is just like, that is how a lot of kids view, succeeding in school. The same sort of way, like they hear, you can do anything. It's possible for you to do whatever. And they think, yeah, it's possible, but that doesn't mean that it's a realistic thing that I'm actually going to invest myself in.
They're not taught the steps.
Yes,
sometimes
exactly.
what it takes to get there.
Yes.
And that's where the mentoring and the tutoring together go hand in hand to help take that child's hand and lead them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And teach them the steps. And see, that was one of the main things with Ally that really captured my attention, because a lot of children within our fostering communities, they have been moved from one home to the other,
Yeah.
and for various reasons.
Right.
Sometimes it's just a matter of it may have been a short-term home.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes there may be trauma that's occurred within that foster home,
Yeah.
and then sometimes it gets to a point to where, it could be an attitude problem.
Mm-hmm.
There's different things, different factors,
Yeah.
that they can move a child from home to home. So when they finally find that LoveLogical home
Mm-hmm.
and they're happy there and they're adopted
Mm-hmm.
into the family,
Yeah.
that to me is their LoveLogical home. And as a result of them
Mm-hmm.
being moved from one home to the other, there are times that they're behind in school.
Mm-hmm.
There are times that there may be some developmental delays.
Yeah.
Their depression.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of factors that go there. So you can often help them get themselves on track
Yeah.
academically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, and like you said, I mean, just the sheer number of variables that
Mm-hmm.
kind of go into a child's success, right? If you're creating pre-made tutoring programs
Mm-hmm.
and you're kind of just having them kind of run through a course of this tutoring, you're not going to be able to take into account all those variables.
Right.
And that's definitely a huge advantage that we have, is that because it is so specifically tailored to each of the needs of every student that comes to us, we can provide them with the platform and the experience that is going to help them get the best results in
So it's
school.
individualized.
Yes, exactly.
I like that. I really do.
Yeah, because you can have two students that are in third grade and are in, well, just for the sake of the example, they're in the same reading class. They're both failing. Okay, their reasons for failing that class can be totally opposite.
Right.
So one kid might really have an issue with reading comprehension, and that might be the thing that we really need to focus on. But you might find that the other student actually can read just fine, but they're not turning in their homework.
Right.
Well, they're still failing.
Right.
So and if you go to cookie cutter tutoring company, then they're just going to put them both in the same third grade reading tutoring program. And one of those students might benefit, but the other student is just going to it's going to it won't fix the issue that's leading to the actual results, right?
Right.
Whereas the individuality that we provide, we can take those different variables into account.
Sometimes it's a matter of someone just sitting down and listening to the child.
Absolutely.
And hearing what the problem may be.
Right.
Or why they feel as if they're unable to move ahead academically, or
right.
And I don't know. I think that, do you test the children like at first to find out where they are and then talk to them, or how does that work?
Yeah, so typically the process for a new client would go a little bit like this. So like they come to us and we schedule a consultation. And typically either me or Hamad, ideally both of us, but just at least one of us will be there.
Okay.
And the idea is we want to really just hear from them what they feel that they need help with. Okay. And that includes the student. We really want the student to be there as well, because we want to hear from them what in their own mind where they're at in terms of, are they cool with this tutoring? Are they opposed to it? Where are they where's their mind at in terms of this whole thing?
Okay.
And then I do want to, we want to hear from the parents as well to kind of, get their perspective on what's what the issue is.
Is that together or separate?
Typically together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we definitely we try to create a space where they can, at least we can get an impression of where they are, because sometimes kids don't always want to open up, and they don't always want to let us know everything.
How long does it normally take for a child to open up to you after that initial consultation?
Well, that's
it varies.
It's hard to answer, because sometimes it can take a long time. I mean, there's sometimes I've been with students that it really took about a year, I would say, before I felt like I really got through to them and we really had a good relationship. Because sometimes, and that's you mentioned testing, and we definitely do have, certain like tests that we have that can sort of measure where kids are at in terms of what grade level they're reading at, or where they're at in terms of their math comprehension. But in terms of really getting that good, productive, trusting relationship going, there's no shortcut for that. That just takes repetition. That just takes, consistency and being with that person, hour after hour, and kind of really getting to know each other. So we don't necessarily promise like a magic formula that's going to like, fix all your grades and turn everything around within 2 weeks, right? We don't make a guarantee like that. But I mean, our results do speak for themselves. I mean, every student that comes to us within a month, increases at least one of their classes will increase at least one letter grade, and the data that we've collected just, it goes up from there. They continue to climb because as they get to know that tutor better, well, now they have more of an incentive to do their work because they want to impress their tutor. They want to make sure that their tutor is happy with how they're doing. So it's just another person, another stakeholder in their life that is now present that can hold them accountable for their own success. But really, the most important thing is that the child feels that they have an investment in this.
Yes.
And that's another really important reason why we have the students come to the consultations, is because I want to try to frame it in a way where they understand that this is, for them. This is not another, teacher giving them homework, right? This is not the same thing. This is not a punishment. This is something that is for you. We want them to feel like they are in the driver's seat. They kind of can control where this program will go. So that way they can think, oh, this is something that's here to help me. And then that way they can actively engage with it, and they can say like, oh, can we work on this today? Can we work on that today? And then there's more skin in the game.
Now, from what I recall, there's actually the opportunity to tutor using video games as well.
Well,
correct?
There's
I mean, it's educational video game activity.
Yeah, we have some online based platforms that we use. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not like Super Mario Brothers but like it's because nowadays with I think they're Gen Z now is the new generation.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if you put it on a screen, it automatically becomes 50% better.
Yeah.
So for that reason alone,
that is so true.
And now that so we do have a lot of there's a lot of different things that you can do. There's a lot of like game based programs, and a lot of it comes down to kind of having like, reward systems built into it, where it's like if you get enough answers right, you get this badge, and then you can kind of keep going from there. So there's kind of like it's very they feel a sense of reward once they've kind of completed those assignments.
And the thing is, those rewards, they actually matter to kids, and they're getting and it's an electronic award, so they're not physically getting anything. They've just reached that level, and they want to keep going on to see how high they can go as far as the levels are concerned.
Absolutely, and that can be absolutely a bad thing, because unfortunately, I mean, I like video games, but like, video games, and I would say like, a lot of online content is designed to stimulate without any kind of real effort, and kind of just trigger the reward parts of the brain. I guess the idea with these sort of online game-based platforms is to really try to integrate actual learning and efforts into triggering those reward sort of mechanisms in the brain, right? So instead of just mindlessly watching something and just feeling like stimulated and not really, being engaged, then they can participate in this activity, but the same sort of reward mechanisms are at play. They're like, oh, I'm at the next level, and the next level, and the next level. So that way we can productively use the kind of reward systems that video games offer in an educational format.
Okay. Okay. Now, another thing that I wanted to, well, another thing that I want to add is
Mhm.
your foundation was set upon children who were adopted out of foster care.
Right.
However, you have built upon your foundation and it's open to all children
Right.
of all backgrounds.
Yes,
Yes,
absolutely.
and I love, love, love the diversity of not just your staff, but your students and your
Yeah.
clients as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have people that come from all walks of life. You know, we have
Yes.
quite a few students that are, that live in Detroit and go to Detroit public schools. But we also have students that go to, Livonia Stevenson. You know, we have
Yes.
just very, very different, very diverse, like you said, a
I
very,
love it. I
yeah.
love it. Yes.
And I think that that's important to us as well with regards to building that sense of community.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to build a space where people from kind of, let's say, in many times mutually exclusive walks of life,
Mm-hmm.
If I could create a space, or if we could create a space where they could actually interact and kind of mingle with each other and build a sense of community there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do think that, one of the problems that we have in this country is that there are a lot of, it's hard for people from different walks of life to kind of interact and see each other on a day-to-day basis.
It is.
So definitely that is a very crucial part of the Ally Learning experience. We all make it the effort. Me, Hamad, Chris, Eva, our managers and the tutors
And
as
your
well.
tutors, yes.
We're there, day after day. We want them to see us. We want them to know us. When they come to the Ally Learning Center, they'll be happy to see me. They'll be happy to see Eva. They'll be happy to see Chris. They'll be happy to see all the different people that are there.
Because everyone is welcoming
Yes.
and caring.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. So it's about absolutely about the tutoring session, but it's a lot of the peripheral things as well that kind of go into creating that experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, it's based off of our personal approaches, and it's hard to kind of, commodify it sometimes or try to come up with marketing language for that. But that's really what it is that, we want them to like being around us, and that really goes a long way, because that can make all the difference in the world. Just the people, people move from neighborhoods because they don't like the people that they live around.
Right.
Like the people that you're around day in and day out make a huge difference. And when I can speak for myself personally, when I find people that I like to be around, that is one of the biggest deciding, factors of my quality of life is the people that you're around. So we want to offer that quality to the students, Okay, maybe you don't like school so much. Maybe you don't like going to school. Maybe, it's not easy for you. Maybe you have a tough time dealing with whatever thing's going on with your family. Okay, but you can come to Ally Learning, and you can have this space where you can come and be with us, and you can look forward to seeing us, week in and week out. That's very important to us.
I think that it's important to your clients as well, because you all are consistent. When it comes to the kids, when it comes to everything that you do, you're very consistent.
Yeah, we try to be.
And, and one thing about Andre he's a brainiac. Actually, both of them are brainiacs.
Nerd.
Too. Yeah, well, yeah. But I have my inner nerd too, as well.
Yeah.
But you utilize it for the good.
Right.
You wear a nerd cape.
I try to. Yeah.
I was thinking in my head, super nerd.
Yeah.
But
You know what? Like you said, I put on my nerd cape, and you just have to.
But
own
you
it.
embrace
You
it,
just have to own it,
and you
yeah.
reach out and you help
Right.
so many others out there.
Right.
And I know Ally continues to grow. That's one thing, and I just know that there's going to come a time where you're going to have another location
Right.
on the other side of town as well, But Livonia is really not that far, and I drive to Livonia from Rochester, Hills regularly, and it's really not that far, and it's a good program. So when people sign up
Yes.
and they start, will there be an orientation?
Yeah. So basically, the first session is going to be an orientation. It's
Okay.
really, it's going to be more like a party. We're going to have, it'll just be a chance for everyone to kind of come, get to know each other a little bit,
Get their materials.
and we just kind of have, set the tone, right?
Okay.
That first event will be just purely fun. That's
Okay.
just going to be, we'll have board games and arts and craft, like all kinds of stuff for them to do. And then, basically they come and get their stuff. And then the actual specific graded content, when I say graded, I mean like grade specific content, will start the following Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's that first session will serve as kind of like the orientation.
Okay. So you're going to have the orientation on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Everyone
July
will come
14th.
together July 14th.
Yes.
Okay, so July 14th is going to be, is that the Saturday, the 14th? Yes.
Yes.
And everyone will come together then.
Mm-hmm.
And then they will start then that following Saturday. They will come and it would be broken down into age-specific categories.
That's right.
So we learned earlier that those going into kindergarten, first grade?
First grade, going into
those
first
going
grade.
into first grade through third grade.
Yes.
Would be the first, and they'll have an hour and a half session.
Right.
So the next group that's going into fourth grade through sixth grade.
Yes.
Will their session be an hour and a half
so
too? Or all three are an hour and a half?
They'll all be an hour and a half.
Okay,
Yeah.
they'll all be an hour and a half.
Right.
And within that hour, now, what's the class size? Are you going to cap it at a certain point per grade or per, yes.
Ideally, probably around 15.
15?
That would be the absolute maximum.
Maximum.
I highly, highly doubt that it's going to get to that point. But
yes. So
that
that way you have good ratios on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And everyone to be able to get the specialized attention that they need.
Yeah.
Okay.
But because definitely, like, we want to make sure that we have good ratios for, our staff so that they'll be able to, help everybody. But definitely, just like the summer reading camp is meant to be more like a social and a group activity.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily meant to be super specialized, or super individualized.
Okay.
That's one of the things that's different about this as opposed to our tutoring.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I want to make sure that I make the expectations sort of clear. Like, this is definitely not the same thing as tutoring. This is meant to be a group activity.
No, and I definitely get that.
Yeah.
And there will be a 10 to 15% discount if you schedule tutoring at the same time.
Yes.
Now, another thing that I want to ask you, and this is as a parent of a teen.
Yeah.
Are you offering any SAT, ACT prep over the summer?
Yeah, we will be offering ACT and SAT tutoring.
Okay.
So that includes a book, and basically what that you get to kind of work on the specific subject matter that you're having trouble with.
Okay.
Okay, and you get that is absolutely dedicated attention.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it is that you need help with in terms of subject matter and strategies on how best to approach those questions, because with any standardized test, there's always going to be categories of questions.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to know how to look, like, you got to know what you're looking at in terms of a category. You got to know, this is a, whatever kind of question. And then now mentally how to attack that question.
Okay. And do you mind saying how much it is for the SAT prep?
Yeah, $65 an hour.
$65 an hour.
Yes.
Okay, and you would recommend that they would come once a week, or?
I would say once to twice a week.
Okay.
Really, I think once a week would be probably enough.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of check in with that student and make sure that they're kind of
making sure they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and do you offer scholarships of any kind, any sort?
Well, so right now, basically, the scholarship that we offer is for kids that are adopted out of foster care.
Out of foster care,
and
yes.
So they receive free tutoring up to
yes.
5 hours per week. But as far as discounts go, I mean, it certainly with the summer camp, you can receive a discount. But we charge $30 an hour for K through 8 and $35 an hour for high school.
That's actually good.
It's and as
it's
far
competitive.
As yes,
Mm-hmm.
it's we're far and away the most affordable tutoring company
yes.
in the area. So we don't do a whole lot in terms of offering discounts. We sort of believe that the value has already kind of
it's
been provided.
There because they're not just getting a tutor, they're getting a mentor
yes.
as well. And that's what I think that a lot of people should understand, that with your rates,
mm-hmm.
you're getting a mentorship
mm-hmm.
along with tutoring.
Correct.
Yes, because you're not just coming in, say, okay, sit down, open up your books. This is what we're going to do today.
Yes.
And then, okay, thank you, goodbye, have a great day.
Yeah.
So you're also listening and mentoring. And I know sometimes your sessions have a tendency maybe to go over
Yes.
because of the mentoring that's taking place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You know, and to kind of like speak on that a little bit, you know, the mentoring part of it is, I mean, really, really crucial to the experience, because if a student isn't having a good, if you don't have a good role model, okay, it doesn't matter what you tell a student, they're not going to really identify with it.
Correct.
They need to have a figure in their life that they can look up to as someone that talks the talk and walks the walk. Okay, that way they can emulate that person and go and be able to really apply the things that they're learning in school. And you know, unfortunately, and this is just kind of a fact, kids tend to, you know, disregard the things that their parents say. It's a tendency amongst kids. I definitely did it. I mean, I was very guilty of that. You know, my parents would tell me something a million times over, and then I'd hear it from somebody else, and then I'd be like, "Oh yeah, maybe I should do that." You know, it's just one of those things. No, like, so
It is.
It's important to have non-parental role models that are there. So you know, because if you're working on homework with someone that you don't respect, I mean, that's just going to be,
you're not going to work
really
on
just
it.
a hindrance.
It
it's
is.
not gonna help you. That student is going to associate whatever homework they're doing with just an unpleasant feeling.
Right, they're not going to absorb the lesson.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
You know, so it is about the personal approach.
It is. That makes a big difference.
Everything for us. Yeah.
You know, we're winding down here, so I'm going to reiterate. Ally Learning in Livonia, Michigan, they have a summer reading camp, and the informational and enrollment session is actually this upcoming weekend, June the 15th, from 2 until 4, and that's 20337 Middle Belt
Correct.
in Livonia, Michigan. And Ally Learning, myallylearning.com.
Yes.
Yes,
that's our website.
myallylearning.com. So give them a call, or just stop in on Saturday during the open house. I will put the flyer up on my page and on my Facebook page, as well as on my Instagram.
And just real quick,
Because-
as a matter of
yes.
fact, if they have questions, they can go to us on Facebook, and they can actually send us a message on Facebook.
Okay, yes, you can go to Ally Learning on Facebook, and you can also send a message, so I'll tag you.
Yeah.
And this is so important. And I know that there's a lot of programs that are out here for the summer that's not full yet, because people may not know that you're offering summer programs, and it's, throughout metropolitan Detroit. So reach out to me. Let me know what the programs are, and I will be happy to spread the word of those programs for you, because we're all looking for things for our children and our grandchildren to do for the summer. And one place that I don't want you to forget about is the Detroit Institute of Arts and the Detroit Public Library, the Cultural Center. There's so much activity within the Cultural Center, and even in Livonia, the library. You have, the libraries in your cities that you're in. See what's going on, see what's happening. With this camp, this is going to give your child something to do for an hour during the day, but it's also going to give you a family activity to do, where you can come together, sit down with your child when you come home, and have that interaction, And to me, that's really important. It's just as important as going outside to run around or play hopscotch, which is something that I'm looking forward to doing this summer with Samaya.
Okay.
We're going to play hopscotch this summer, as well as I'm taking kayaking lessons this summer with Delon. And with Janelle, I plan on, the two of us going to Chicago, riding a train. I really enjoy riding a train with her. And I'm just, there are things that we should do with our kids. Go back old school. Let's do jump roping and double dutch and, go and play in the sprinklers and things like that. Just have fun, but also remember that your child's going to lose 40 to 50% of what they learned, especially those in the lower grades when it comes to reading, some of those in the upper grades when it comes to math or science. So you want to make sure that your kids have something to keep them focused on school, as well as those things is going to keep them focused on fun.
Right.
So Ally Learning Center is one of those great options because they will have wonderful tutors there.
Mm-hmm.
They have wonderful programs there. And if you go to the open house, you will meet them and you'll be like, okay, wow, this is a great atmosphere. So, any other questions about Ally, just hit them up on Facebook. You can hit me up on Facebook. You can call me if you have my number. You can IM me.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, you can always find a way to get in touch. And again, that's myallylearning.com. There's a link there for you to be able to connect with them as well. And that's the summer reading camp. So I'm going to be checking out here. So thank you for listening. Thank you, Andre, for coming on.
And thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. This is Michelle L. Anderson saying, thank you for being a part of my extended family, which is LoveLogical, biological by nature, LoveLogical by choice, DNA not required. Have a great evening.